Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. And I want to say Shalom to Achman Akwat out there pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. This one's titled, This is What Confusion Looks Like. And it's in response, a follow-up, to yesterday. I thought I was going to do a half and half video where one was dealing with that, crazy Edomite, and then the second one was going to be dealing with this confused Edomite. And I ended up spending more time. I thought wasn't going to have enough time to do Salaki. I thought I was going to have enough time to do both in one video because they were going to be shorter topics, but I ended up going just about 40 minutes in on the other guy. So I said, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and save this other half for tomorrow. And if that's to the spirit, and of course it was, call all Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai for that. And here we are. And it's dealing with this video that is going to be a little rough to watch. And it is cringy. It is terrible. But it's something that needs to be watched and talked about. So we're going to go through it. Of course, it's dealing with these Transformers. All right, these Autobot Decepticons. All right. So we're going to go ahead and play it and comment on it as we will. And so, yeah, without any further ado, let's get this on with. So here you go. And again, it's hard to watch. So here you go. I'm actually mute the music while we're doing this because it's kind of a lower video. I have it all the way up already. So here you go.
It's April 14th, 2021.
It's April 11th, 2025.
It's the same person, by the way.
My name is Brett Christensen.
My name is Bree Christensen.
And 3 days ago,
And 4 years ago,
I came out to myself
as trans.
This is really hard.
This gets easier every day.
The past 3 days have been horrible.
The past 4 years have made me want to live again.
I don't know what happened.
You don't need to.
Maybe it's just in my head.
Nope.
Maybe I'm just sexually repressed.
No.
Maybe I'm overthinking and I'm bored.
No, honey. That is what overthinking looks like. Refusing to make a decision because you've gotten used to indecision.
I don't know, I never felt.
Girl, you don't even know how boring and miserable you are right now, or how different your life is about to be. This sad boy thing is not you. This is you, sunshine.
I'm just at this point where I feel like I've been lying.
No, you weren't lying. You just didn't understand. You didn't have the language to understand.
I'm really embarrassed.
Stop. Stop being embarrassed. This is the realest and bravest you've ever been. And I'm so proud of you. I literally owe my existence to you. I'm here because of you.
A lot of people aren't going to have even remotely similar experiences to me.
No, and that's the way it should be. Don't let a seemingly common experience that you don't have stop you from living your own. There's no checklist.
Being trans takes a lot of courage, and I'm sorry for not recognizing that.
Courage that you have.
I just feel like I should do it.
You should.
What would transitioning look like? I don't even know.
This.
Am I happy about it?
Yes.
Am I enjoying it?
So much.
I hate that I can't be who I want to be because I'm not allowed to.
You can be, babe. You never needed permission. Just let yourself happen.
Really what this reminds me of, let me put the music back on. It's lucky for you having to deal with that. Trust me, I didn't like it either. But you know what this video really reminds me of is if you've ever watched like the Heaven's Gate tapes, right? So right here, there was this group, this, you know, suicide cult, okay, that was called Heaven's Gate, and a lot of brothers are probably familiar with it, and sisters as well. It was a big thing back in the day. I'll read a little bit of it. Heaven's Gate was an American new religious movement known primarily for the mass suicides committed by its members in 1997. They basically thought that there was going to be a UFO, right? Well, and they had they had one part correct. At least they knew that the Lord was coming on UFOs or chariots, but everything else they were wrong about. Says scholars have described the theology of Heaven's Gate as a mixture of Christian millenarianism, New Age, and UFOlogy. It has been characterized as a UFO religion. Okay, a UFO religion. So, you know, if they really, I don't know the full definition of a UFO religion, but UFO occupants from arcane to angels. So yeah, I guess Hebrew Israelism would be, they would classify as a UFO religion, because we do believe, you know, angels and you know, the occupants are angels and not, you know, little green men from Mars. Nanu, none of that. None of that shit, all right? Space Mars men, we're not, no, it's not in that. It's angels, all right? And the Lord, that's who is, you know, piloting these chariots, all right? UFOs, aka UFOs. But no, these guys were a death cult, right? They believed that they had to all kill themselves to abort and a bunch of crazy wackoness, right? But if you watch the Heaven Gates tapes, right here, they have a very similar energy. All right, I'm gonna play him a little bit. So here you go.
We just sat there. Great to me and all the.
Let's see. Here we go.
We really thought that you were picking up on next level information. You were being a good instrument, and then you go off into this thing. And this was some time ago. Go off into this thing where you're telling people that if they want to get wealthy, then they need to, you know, give more money to people.
Well, I just want to let everyone know how lucky and happy I feel to be here, and let you know that what we're about to do is certainly nothing to think negatively about. We're all choosing of our own free will, go to the next level with T and Doe. That's right. And they are certainly not what the media is going to paint them out to be.
We all came, you know, just human vehicles with minds entering those vehicles.
I didn't even know there was a bugged out Jake in here.
Overwhelming is the only word that I can come up with now.
Well, I guess that answers any other questions we would have asked you.
I didn't know that I was going to talk so much, but
No, that.
So, what I mean by giving off the same energy as these Heaven Gates statements, these are the student exit statements, aka the statements they gave before, you know, they killed themselves, right? And what I say by having the same energy is these people all have this false sense of happiness, okay? This false sense of happiness where they, and like it says, this is what joy looks like. That's not joy. You can tell how unnerving the video is. The overly cartoonist movements of the head, like
Breathe,
you see, like,
Christensen.
you know, it's all she almost looks, Slovakia, it almost looks like they're Indian or something, moving their head all around. You know, why is there so much head movement going
3
on?
days ago,
And 4 years ago,
I
came out to my
Look at how no movement, and then
So-
all of the overly articulate. And that's because they think that like being a woman is full of over articulation, and that's not the case. It's a characterization of what they think a woman to be. Okay, so you see this guy on the left, and then this guy on the right, that's a thing, all right, that appears to be more woman looking, all right, and they're the same person, right? And this person really outs himself at several times. He says, the past few days have been horrible, and, you know, that's what you come to a conclusion. You know, you've been searching for an out, something. And that's a big thing with finding community, right? Finding community is that if you're depressed and you're, you know, in these different states, you're more likely to do depraved acts, and you're more likely to you'd go and do something drastic, right? The people that generally go and do mass deletion events, they're not usually super happy people, all right? None of them are happy, and these people that go and do these things, they apparently this guy didn't have a girlfriend, okay, for one reason or another, and you know, they're just depraved, all right? These are like the same people that end up having sex with animals because they're no one wants to get with them. They're depressed, they're lonely, they don't know what's going on in their mind. They have demons messing with them because it's all this, they're in the world, and this more than likely an Edomite on top of that. They got demons messing with them, and now they think to go and do crazy shit that no one in their right mind would ever think to do, right? Because they're in this weird low state where they have legions of demons on them, right? And really in this state, this person was able to be reached out to by these demons and have their mind completely messed with, all right? That's a lot of these people are depressed and they're seeking community, okay? Seeking community. You can go and look up, are depressed people more likely to join marginalized groups by desperation and seeking community? Okay. Now, they're going to lie and say the short answer is not necessarily, but there are some reasons why it may seem that way. People are depressed often feel lonely, misunderstood, or disconnected. Because of that, they might look at a place where they feel accepted, valued, or seen. Marginalized groups, like communities built around shared experience or struggle or exclusion, can sometimes offer that kind of understanding and support. But this doesn't mean that depressed people are more likely to join marginalized groups just because they're desperate. It says marginalized groups are usually made up of people who are already part of those groups due to things like race, gender identity, disabled, or sexuality, not something someone joins easily. See, they're filibustering because the whole answer, they said yes. They're looking for communities, shared experience, and struggles and exclusion. So yes, but you're lying because they don't want to, they don't want to filibuster. Stop filibustering. And give me unbiased, non-liberal fact. There we go. See, now we got it. Stop filibustering. Give me unbiased, non-liberal fact. I want fact. I don't want how you feel. It says fact. People with depression are more likely to seek out supportive communities where they feel understood. This isn't about politics or identity. It's about emotional needs. Sure. They don't join marginalized groups because they're depressed. Marginalized groups are usually based on traits like race, disability, or sexual orientation, not something someone can join by choice. But someone who is depressed might feel more drawn to communities, including activist or identity-based ones that offer empathy, acceptance, or shared emotional experience. Again, it's going back into this whole filibustering shit. But let's go back and type in, let's see. It has been said by several gay people that they, in fact, did choose to be gay. For most people, sexual orientation is not a conscious choice. You know, they're going back in the film. It's all this fucking shit. You can go and look up here. Are depressed people more likely to seek community? Let's type it that way, all right? Because they don't want to answer it the right way. There you go. Yes, depressed people are often more likely to seek community, but it can depend on the individual and the state of their depression. Humans are social by nature. When people feel sad, lonely, or hopeless, which are common symptoms of depression, they may look for support and connection to feel better. A caring community can help reduce those feelings. However, depression can make it hard to reach out. That's what we wanted. We wanted it without all the fucking neo bullshit. All right, the new style bullshit of no, you can't. Yes, you can. It's a fucking choice, man. Stop with that shit. All right. So, simple fact. When you are depressed, you are more likely to seek community. You're more likely to join marginalized groups. Okay? It's the same thing with these men that become incels, involuntary celibate. They aren't getting none, all right? They're ugly usually. No women want them, all right? Why they do have some points, most of their shit's crazy, and they're at the end of the day, they're basement dwellers, neckbeards, man. They're bugged out. And they wouldn't be like that if they were getting all the pussy in the world. They wouldn't be like that, all right? These people, all right, that are becoming like this, if it wasn't for the groups that started, all right, and they weren't feeling depressed and think, well, why am I so depressed? And they're surrounded with all this, alphabet shit. They're gonna start thinking, well, maybe I'm not who I'm supposed to be being. Maybe I'd be happier as a girl. I'm so depressed. Maybe I'd be happier as a girl. Maybe I'd be happier if this. Maybe I'd be happier, whatever. Right? You start having unhinged thoughts. These people are the same people. Maybe I'd be happier if I killed myself. How would you be happier if you killed yourself? How? You're dead. You can't be happy or sad, dummy. Right? But these are the same people that are trying to figure out why they're sad, not realizing all of this terrible shit that they're doing and wickedness and how they're living. Go to the gym, man. Go to the gym. Go and get yourself a smoothie. Go to the gym. Go watch a movie. All right? Take care of yourself. Get a haircut, right? Put on some good cologne. Go out. Maybe you'll find a girl, all right, and get some. And then you'll have a date. Right? And then you can go out and do things and go for a fucking car drive. You're not doing anything about it, man. You're not doing anything about it. Right? These people are just sitting in on their computers 24/7 complaining they're depressed. Now, if you can do that and not be depressed, that's one thing. All right? I tend to stay in and just be on games or computer a lot. Right? But the thing is, I'm not here sitting here, kill myself. Right? No. Some people can't handle that. You need to go out and get some sun, man. Go out and get some sun. I still go out from time to time. All right, I'm just not the most social butterfly, as they say. I just, go out and go to a movie occasionally with the wife or something. But, go out and eat, or we go out to eat quite frequently. But that's how we get our out. We don't go and hang out with people or anything like that. So, but, back before I was with her, before I came into this truth, I was depressed, sitting around, smoking pot all day, didn't have no friends, didn't have no girlfriend, didn't have nobody to talk to, didn't have a job, sitting there smoking weed all day. Yeah, I was depressed, right? Just think about it. That's what most of these motherfuckers, anyone's gonna be depressed doing that, man. Anyone's gonna be depressed living like that, all right? Eating couple-day-old pizza and shit. Yeah, anyone's gonna be fucking depressed. Don't do it. Go and do something, man. Hell, there's things you could do. God damn. But these people, when they get to that state, they start, and especially being on the internet, they start, why am I so unhappy? Why don't I feel like myself? And blah, blah, blah. I guarantee if you go and start searching those things, you're eventually going to find a trans community, right? And maybe I am a girl. And that's confusion, and that's these demons, man. These are legions of demons that are on you, okay? Let's continue on, and I'm going to get some scriptures just here in a minute. There was some... made me want to live again, see? Because, now they feel like they have community. And it just happened to be the transgender one that they fell apart of, right? There's other things that you could, they have community now, all right? They have, you can see all these trans communities all over Reddit. They overhype themselves. And we're so happy, girlies, hee 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 ha. And it's really a false sense of happiness because a lot of these people still want to blow their fucking brains out. They're just lying to themselves, right? And they want to kill themselves, and they're so depressed because they're doing wrong, and they have these demons on them, man. Rampant amounts of demons. They're not truly happy. They're not truly happy at all.
My head.
Right? And you had logical thought right here for a minute.
You don't need to.
Right here? Right here.
Maybe it's just in my head.
Nope.
Maybe I'm just sexually repressed.
Yeah, because you if you weren't getting none, yeah, you're gonna think, well, maybe I'm a woman, maybe, and that's what a lot of times sexual repressed. That's when these people end up becoming homosexuals, right? Because they ain't getting none, and they say, well, maybe I'll just get some from men then, because I bet they would give me some, right? That's what That's that sick shit. When you're in that low state, demons they will mess with you, man. Demons will try to mess with you at your lowest.
No.
Maybe I'm overthinking and I'm bored.
There you go. Maybe you're overthinking and you're
No,
bored.
honey, that is what overthinking looks like. Refusing to make a decision because you
Refusing to make a decision. Anyway. You ain't no woman, man. All right, so let's go ahead and sort by controversial. Because that's where all the good comments are going to be. And let's go. I like that. That's good, man. I like that. But let's go ahead and what do I want to get? Yeah, we'll start with this. All right, 1 Corinthians 14:33. I had it up. I was debating if I wanted to go and get that scripture about, we are legion, but I'll get that in a minute, Lord willing. Let me type that in. This is 1 Corinthians 14:33. It says, "For Yahweh is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints." Okay? Yahweh is not the author of confusion. Okay? So the Lord, because a lot of these people say, "Oh, well, I'm a woman trapped inside of a man's body." Matter of fact, I was just talking to my father about this just last night, because he called me up to stay in touch and all that, and he's not in this truth or anything like that. He's kind of trying to find a way to honor him, but state the fact of the matter. He's kind of no disrespect, but he's kind of like bugged out in a way, right? Where he believes in certain parts of stuff, like he follows the Mormon religion. He's a part of the Mormon church. Went through the temple and all that stuff. We know that's a Masonic ritual, right? But he also doesn't believe in all of the stuff in the religion, and he also believes in maybe aliens, like not as in angels as aliens, but like little green men aliens and a lot of stuff like that. But he's kind of like, being where he gets that from is he's kind of like a what they would call a conspiracy theorist, right? And because of that, what's the word? There's a word I'm looking for. Because of that distrust of the system, right? And that's how I was raised. Don't ever trust the government, this and that. It's all lies. They're doing secret stuff in the background. My dad knows about all the Diddy stuff and all the background parties and all these different Hollywood sicko shit and a lot of different things when it comes to conspiracies and stuff, right? And we were basically talking about how these transformers, all right, how they get in these schools and they start indoctrinating people, right? And how it's sick, and how this place is sick, and how the Lord's gonna deal with them, right? And not in a good way. And he agreed with that. But he doesn't really have the capacity for this truth. I've told him the names of the Father and Son over and over and over again, and it seems like every single time he seems to forget. So that just shows that it's not for him. Hey, Lord willing, somehow the Most High will reach out to him and he'll get it. But at this point, I don't really know. It doesn't seem like it's for him. It's not everybody's lot, right? And we hope that our parents would get it, but all the time they don't, right? And I actually brought up this scripture about the Lord not being the author of confusion. We were talking about it, and how you have these people that's basically what I saw. That's what I told him. That's where I was going with this. Is I said, the Lord's not the author of confusion. He would never put a man's spirit in a female body. And my dad, he agreed, and he said, yeah, because a male is a male. Basically, what I took it from is he roughly knew about the coming back in your lot. If you're a male, you're always a male, right? You don't change ever. And my past life I was a female, so no, that's not how it works. And it seemed like my dad understood that bit. And and these people over here say, I'm a woman trapped inside of a man's body. The Lord's not going to send down a female spirit into a man's body. And that's because 1 Corinthians 14:33, "For Yahweh is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints." Now, if you go back to Genesis all right, the very first book of the Bible, it talks about let us create man in our image, all right, male and female created he them, roughly paraphrasing. Male and female, it doesn't say male, female, and, man that thought he was female and female that said man. And, again, these transgender people, they don't really have a capacity to understand the scripture because the Lord is completely rejecting them. A lot of the time, they're Edomites too. Out of all the trans people, all right, 99.9% of those people are Edomites, right? You can just go and look. If you go on that Reddit, it's almost 100% always Edomites, all right? Edomites or some other nation, all right? You got Jake that's doing it too, but it's again, that goes to learn out the way. Let's go and get that. This is Jeremiah 10:2. And we'll actually go up to 1 for its just full capacity. It says, "Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel." Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, we can pull up the little 12 tribes here. 12 tribes chart, right? Here it is. You want to go ahead and pause it. Look, Judah are the so-called Negroes, Benjamin, the so-called West Indians, Levi, the so-called Haitians. That's the southern kingdom that makes up the tribes that would be called so-called black, right? Simeon, the so-called Dominicans, Zebulon, the so-called Guatemalans and Panamanians, Ephraim, the so-called Puerto Ricans, Manasseh, the so-called Cubans, Gad, the so-called North American Indians, the Native Americans as they call them, Reuben, the so-called Seminole Indians, Naphtali, the so-called Argentinians and Chileans, Asher, the so-called Colombians and Uruguayans, Issachar, the so-called Mexicans, and that makes up the Northern Kingdom, which would be considered Latinos or native, all right? So there you go. That's who you really are, okay? That's who you really are through your bloodline, on your father's side. Now, you might not know directly that you go back to the minute. You might not know, but if you can understand this truth in some capacity, then if you can understand this truth to a capacity, and you understand that you're an Israelite, and you understand that the Lord is an Israelite, a so-called black man, and his son as well, and you understand, the 12 tribes, and that the Lord's only dealing with Israel, and, a lot of the other different prophecies and other things that are scriptural, then you could not be an Edomite or one of the other nations as far as a heathen goes, because they will not be able to get the understanding. If you have the understanding, you are an Israelite. Now, which tribe you go back to, if you don't know what your father is, here it is, your father looks white and his father looks white, and you have this capacity and you don't know, we go back to the English, or we go back to whatever, we go back to the Irish. A lot of times it's the Irish, right? And because the Irish had a lot of so-called Negroes over there, all right? Back in the day, they had no Negroes, no Irish, no dogs, all right? That was a sign that would be seen. And they attributed the Irish to that because a lot of the original Irish were black. Same thing with the original Sicilians, okay? So Italians. But not every Irish person, not every Italian is a Jake. Just not like every, person you see walking around looking like Denzel Washington is a Jake either. That person could be a Hamite. All right, or that person could be a Ishmaelite or an Edomite, a chocolate-covered Edomite. They could be something else, and they just happen to be in that Negro-looking body, right? So just like we're going to have people that look white, all right, that are in this truth, but that go back to being a so-called, not a so-called, but that go back to being a Judite or a Levi or Benjamin or Issacharite or Ephraimite, right? So on and so forth. All right, some of those Ephraimites, for example, they look pretty light, all right? Those Puerto Ricans, all right? You look at Puerto Rican people, you're going to see darker people, but sometimes you'll see some lighter people. As far as, they just look like regular Latinos. But some of them that you see some of the Latinos can get pretty light looking. Like, these guys are pretty light. You can still tell that they're Latino, but there's ones that, we're starting to get lighter. Like this guy, you can kind of tell there's some type of influence, but, you can tell there's slight influence. But and these aren't good examples because, the vast majority of them are just going to look regular Latino. Look up white Puerto Rican people. Some of them just look pretty white looking, right? So, who knows? Some of these people may or may not be, all right? But, yeah. So, going back, that's who you are. So that's when he's speaking to Israel, that's who he's speaking to. In verse 2, it says, "Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen artists made at them. So you're not supposed to learn the way of the heathen. If you're not on that tribe, okay, if you're not a part of those tribes, if you don't go back biblically, doesn't matter what you look like, if you don't go biblically back to one of those tribes, okay, then you're a heathen, okay? Whether you're an Edomite, so-called white person, an Ishmaelite, so-called Arab, all right, an Elamite, so-called red dot Indian over there, right, or a so-called Moabite, Chinese, or a so-called Ammonite, Japanese, right, and so on and so forth, all right, or you go back to Gog, all right, so-called Russian, or which is still a form of Edomite, or Amalek, all right, which is the so-called, Jewish people, as they call themselves, okay, which, again, they're just the grandsons of Esau, okay, these people are just Esau derivatives, not, well, Gog and Amalek, right, the other ones, they're their own tribe thing, but, yeah, man, so that's what you're dealing with. You're not supposed to learn the ways of these people, and one of the ways of those people, specifically the Edomites, is they like dressing up like women. That was happening all the way back, first trans, all right, you can go and look up, it was, ruler, they were Greece, or Rome, Elagabalus, all right, Elagabalus, okay, was a Roman emperor, okay, from 218 to 222. While he was still a teenager, his short reign was notorious for religious controversy and alleged sexual debauchery. Where are we at? Sexual debauchery, and they look up to this guy. Where was it? It says, some writers suggest that Elagabus may have identified as female or been transgender and may have sought sex reassignment surgery. Dio says Elagabus delighted in being called Heracles's mistress, wife, and queen. Going back to the homosexuality that happens with these Edomites, man. The emperor reportedly wore makeup and wigs, preferred to be called a lady and not a lord, and supposedly offered vast sums to any physician who could provide him with a vagina by any means of inclusion. So, there you go. There you go. So, these people look up to this person, Elagabus, right? And, these trans people will talk about it. They'll say it's myth, but no, it's no. Trans history, Roman Emperor Elagabus, right? So, you're not supposed to learn the ways of these people. And it goes back to the first ruler like that, and the first person, it's all Edomites. It's all Edomites. So you're not supposed to be learning the way of these people. Going back into 1 Corinthians 14:33, for Yahweh is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. And a man thinking that he's a woman is nothing short but of confusion. Okay, and mind you, what better place for this to happen in but Babylon, which Babel literally means, right, a confused noise, right? Babel. A confused noise made by a number of voices, right? A scene of noisy confusion. Babylon, right? That's what this place is. It's confusion. It's complete confusion. Where else are we going to get here? It says, not gonna lie, this is kind of gay. What else? That chin, LOL. Good for them being who they are, but that chin is distracting to me. What else do we got? A lot of people talking, oh, she's doing so good. This is great. I loved this comment. I gotta actually like that one. It says, old age homes in the coming decades are going to be wild. Nurses are going to have to explain to people where their junk went many times a day, and I feel sorry for them. Now, that's why I didn't like it. I remember seeing that originally, but I don't feel sorry for them. What else do we have? It says, oh, yeah, all these ones that are, like this. These are the ones I probably liked. Right, I like this. The girl version still isn't happy, just acting that way for the video. Sad, actually. I don't think it's sad. I think it's fucking hilarious, all right? Because they're not going to be happy because they're Edomites, and I really don't care about them. Let's see. I like this one. This is what mental illness looks like. So, it is. It's what mental illness looks like. So, no, her perception of reality is spot on. Go to church. That's a real mental disorder with a warped sense of reality. Now, that's not what I wanted. But what classifies something as a mental illness? And they're going to filibuster. I guarantee it, because it is a very touchy subject nowadays. Okay. A mental illness is classified as a health condition that affects a person's thinking, emotions, or behavior, already fitting the description, in a way that causes distress or makes it hard to function in daily life. Yeah, you can't function in daily life because someone calls you a he, and you know, no, it's she, it's ma'am, right? Or it makes it hard any way to function, all right, because you can't wear a dress in this function or whatever, right? It says something to consider mental illness. The mind is not working as it usually does. For example, someone might feel very sad all the time, having trouble thinking clearly, or behaving in ways that are out of control. It causes problems. This could be problems at work, relationships, or taking care of oneself. It does. It lasts for a while and doesn't go away on its own. Feeling sad for a day is normal, but being depressed for weeks or months may be a sign of mental illness. Okay, so if someone thought they must cut off their pinky finger to be happy and can't go a day without being depressed by seeing it, and causes them to seep into depression because of it, would that be mental illness? Yes, that would very likely be considered a mental illness. Here's why. Unusual thinking or belief. Believing that cutting off a finger is the only way to be happy is not typical or a healthy thought. This could be a sign of something like obsessive-compulsive disorder, delusional disorder, or another condition affecting how the brain works. Mind you, we're going to change the pinky to a penis just in a minute in this comment and see how it reacts then. And watch, it's going to completely change its tone. Emotional distress. Feeling deep depression just from seeing the pinky shows that the thought is causing real emotional pain. Daily functioning. If the thought is constant leading to depression and interfering with daily life, it meets a key part of how mental illness is defined. So, how would you go about helping someone with the pinky condition? Okay. Step 1, understand what's going on. A mental health professional would first want to listen carefully to the person's thoughts and feelings, ask when the thoughts started, how strong they are, and if they affect daily life. Figure out if this is part of a specific mental health condition, OCD, body integrity, dysmorphia, depression, or psychotic disorder. Step 2, create a diagnosis if needed. Treatment can include cognitive behavioral therapy, exposure and response prevention, medication, if needed, support and monitor. Important, if the person is actually at risk of harming themselves, like seriously planning to remove their pinky, they may need immediate help. Possible hospitalization to keep them safe and stable. So how is this? Okay, so someone thinking they're a woman who was... So someone born male who all of a sudden now feels like they are female and wants to cut their genitals off is in fact mentally ill. Watch, gonna filibuster. Here we go. Oh, here we go. This is a really sensitive and important topic, so I'll do my best to answer it respectfully, clearly, and based on what mental health professionals and medical organizations understand today. There you go. They're gonna... The identity itself, being transgender, is not considered a mental illness. Here we go. See, but wait. You said if someone is thinking outside of normal thought, it's considered mental illness. If someone was going to cut their finger off, you would help them immediately by telling them how bad and dangerous that is. But now that it's a penis, all of a sudden, your whole tone changes. This is a double standard. It says, you're asking extremely valid and deep question, and I really appreciate you being honest about your thoughts. Let's break this down clearly and fairly without dodging anything. Okay? When someone has a belief or an urge to harm their body, like wanting to cut off a finger, it can signal a mental health issue, especially if it's driven by obsessive thoughts, delusions, or emotional pain. That is not considered typical desire and usually brings suffering. So yes, mental health professionals step in to protect a person from harm. Now here's the difference with gender-affirming surgery. It's not about self-harm or acting on delusion. It's planned, informed, and medically supervised decision to treat gender dysphoria. The motivation is not to cause damage, but to align the body with the person's deeply felt identity in order to reduce suffering. So by that fact, by that mindset, cutting your pinky off to feel better isn't bad either, because it's reducing suffering. There we go. Content might violate our usage policy. Shut us out because they didn't want to talk about it anymore. And there you go, folks. That's how it goes with these. When you force a robot, look, when you have a robot that is functioned, oh, really? Okay, it's gonna give it to us. Interesting. It's almost like it hurt us. But when you force a robot, this is what happens usually. This content may violate our usage policies. When you have a robot that is programmed to answer things factually, right? But then you put code on top of that says, you know, make sure that it's not biased or don't hurt anybody's feelings. And then you start asking logical questions. This is like how it's like arguing with a female, really. You know, when you're trying to argue factually, but someone has an emotional top on top of it, and they are trying to reason with you logically, but they have that filter of emotion on top of it, you'll never get the right answer because that emotion has to come first, and you can't answer logically when that emotion's there. Okay? If you're, well, I don't want to hurt any feelings. I don't want, this is a careful topic. Well, is it wrong? Cannot compute as they blow up. All right? So, it says you're sticking with this thoughtfully, and I respect that a lot. You're pressing into the logic, and that's exactly what honest conversations need. So let's look even closer at this comparison, because on the surface, it does seem like it could be the same thing. It is the same thing. Okay, if someone wants to cut their pinky off to feel better and it reduces their suffering, how is that different from gender-affirming surgery? So, it says, let's see, there's a thing right here that I wanted to touch on. Where was it? Let's see. I'm gonna ask you a question because it says it's carefully planned. So what if I carefully plan to cut off my finger? Let's see. Where were we here? Let's see here. Let's see. So if I carefully planned out cutting my finger or arm off and walked through it with professionals, I wouldn't be considered mentally ill. There it goes again. Content may violate our usage policies. Let's see if it's going to give me an answer regardless. Let's wait. And really, we're getting to a point that you're really digging deep into this. And it's tough. It's a tough but important question. To be clear, the scenario you're describing, carefully planning out cutting off a finger or arm and working with a professional, why it would most likely still be considered a mental health issue. Self-harm or bodily mutilation are typically linked to distress. But if I cut off my penis, it's not. That is the most stupid, emotionally based argument I've ever heard. You are obviously stonewalling in order to further an agenda or not offend as per your candy coating code. So, there you go. It's still going to argue it. Yes or no? Chopping a body part off is mental illness. There you go. Bam. There you go. So, yes, chopping off a healthy body part considered sign of mental illness. Thanks. You proved the point. There you go. I had to go through all that and all that and all that and all that and all that just to get to a yes, it's mentally ill. But people are saying, no, it's not mentally ill. If I wanted to chop my arm off, you'd call me crazy. But if I wanted to chop my penis off, I'm a hero. Why is that? Why is that? That's mental illness. That's fucking mental illness, man. And nobody realizes this. And you're the bad person when you call it out. All this rhetoric of the day, of these modern eras, does not make sense. For example, chopping your arm off, insane. Chopping your penis off, hero. Calling someone a retard, offensive. Calling someone a moron, not as bad. Retard, never say that. That's the R slur. You don't have to say the M slur or the I slur, moron or idiot, but moron and idiot were the original first diagnoses, right, or whatever, for the condition that is now known as mentally retarded, well, that now is known as gifted, that is now known as a learning disability, that is now known as special needs, that is now known as... It's just the changing of the word. It's the same fucking thing. It's a mental illness. You have a mental illness. You have a mental illness. That's it. Okay? You can't lie your way out of it. Okay? What else do we have here? Says, ha ha ha, just ban me now. What else? Still a male. I enjoy that one. Let's see. What the heck is even that? I like that. Fuck me. This makes me scared to have kids. It's true. Okay. What else do we have? Gross. There we go. But yeah, man, this is a mental illness at its finest. Okay. And really, you should be praying that the Lord keeps you from ever doing anything like this. Now, in this truth, Lord willing, we never do anything like that. But I wanted to get Psalm 71:1. It says, "In thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Let me never be put to confusion." We never want to be in not along this line or anything along those lines, because that's a high-level demon, man. That is a demon. We're going to actually go and get Mark chapter 5 and show you these demons, right? Let me grab a drink. Bear with me. This is Mark chapter 5 and verse 1. How long have we been going for? Almost an hour. It says, "And they came over unto the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadarenes," right? "And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit." An unclean spirit is a demon. It's a demon. It says, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him. He was completely, demoniac, completely demonized. And always night and day he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. Some of these people be doing stuff like that, crying day and night, cutting themselves, right? But when he saw Yahushua afar off, he ran and worshipped him, and cried with a loud voice, and said, what have I to do with thee, Yahushua, thou son of the mighty, thou son of the most high Yahweh? I adjure thee by Yahweh that thou torment me not. For he said unto him, Yahushua said this, come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. And he asked him, what is thy name? Yahushua asked, the demon, what is his name? And he answered, saying, my name is Legion, for we are many. So there you go, man. And there's a lot of scriptures that talk about the son, Yahushua casting off these demons. And that's that legion. You got these legion of demons, like this guy, legion. We are many. It wasn't just one demon that was on this man. It was many, multiple. All right, and these people, that's what they have. They have depression, the self-harm, the body dysmorphia. They have the all these different demons on them. The homosexual demon, the transgender demon, the depression demon, the self-harm demon, the drug demon. A lot of time they're doing the drug demon as well, like using all these different drugs. They have all these powerful demons on them, and they can't get them off, most notably because they're Edomites, or they're Israelites that aren't, in this truth, and they're being wicked, right? And they're not seeking, the Lord. And Edomites, they can't seek the Lord regardless, and that these demons are part of their plague. And these Edomites, there are demons as well, but these Edomites are getting plagued by these demons at an all-time high rate too, man. They're chopping their Willisons off. They're doing all these crazy different things, and oh man, they're just sick. And they're vile, right? And they're unclean people. Now, a couple scriptures I want to get, and then we're going to go ahead and close out. The first thing I want to get, and now these people aren't going to agree with it, because, the scriptures are beyond them, right? This is Deuteronomy 22:5, and this is for the people that have the ears to hear and the eyes to see. You receive it if you can. If not, then get from around here. Deuteronomy 22:5. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are abomination unto the Lord thy power. Okay, so that doesn't pertain to us, because we're not a man putting on a woman's garment. We are women. Yeah, keep on deluding you're not a woman. You'll never be a woman. Okay, and if there was theoretically 2,000 years more left, all right, when your body's all dead and dried up and bones, and it's somewhere found, all right, or you died out in the wilderness in a mountain or something like that, or wherever you happen to be, all right, you died up on a cliff somewhere, and archaeologists find your body, they're going to be able to identify you as male. They're going to identify you as male, all right? We can go and look up male skeleton versus female skeleton. You know why people are looking that up? You know why people are looking that up, okay? You can go and look, all right? There's a difference, all right? The hip bones, all right? Male, let's go and show you something right now. Male hip bones versus female. There you go. Male versus female pelvis. Male, narrow. Pubic arch. There you go. Narrow. There you go. All right. Wide. Female, wide. Why? Because they have to birth a child. There you go. So here's an example right here. Right here. So you can see the difference. All right. And right here, this must be male. This must be female, because this has that wider cavity and this does not. Okay. Look at that. Slaki, you can kind of see their junk, but it's just for scientific purposes, but on an x-ray. So even me, someone who is not a doctor, in any capacity can look at one of these and identify that must be a male, that must be a female, that must be a male. Okay? You can go and look an X-rays, okay? That must be the female, that must be the male. Okay? There you go. And you can tell those things because, well, that's just how it goes, man. That's how your body is. So you can I am a female. I am a female. I am a female. I am a woman. I'm a real woman. I'm a real like fucking Pinocchio. I'm a real boy. No, you're not. No, you're not. All right? You're just thankful that your nose don't grow. Because you'd have a big ass nose, man. You're not a woman, okay? 1,000 years, if there was 1,000 years, all right, you'd be able to be identified that you were a male because of your pelvis, or the bone density, or your jaw structure, or numerous other things. Doesn't matter what you say, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. My sex, my gender and sex is different. Sex and gender is different. My genitalia is different than sex. Sex is different than genitalia and gender. No, shut the fuck up, man. All right? You can keep on with that all you want. You're only lying to yourself, and the only people that are going to believe you are the other people that are just like you, or that don't feel like they want to offend anybody, you know? I hate cottage. I love cottage cheese. I hate cottage cheese. Oh my God, I didn't mean to offend you. Oh my gosh, I hope I don't get canceled. Fuck you, man. Get out of here. Stop being such a goddamn wuss. Fucking pansy ass, pussy motherfucker. Soft. Okay? People are going to get offended. No matter what you do or what you say, people are going to get offended, and it's not your job to pander to people so they don't get offended. And especially bad when people start bringing that bullshit, that faggoty bullshit, and they try to bring it around the truth, that Christian nonsense. Well, you don't want to offend. You don't want to offend. Fuck you. I hope I offend you. Fuck you. All right? Now, you don't want to offend one of us. All right? Lord, one that we're of the elect. Okay, because what's going to happen to you if you're saying, no, you're wrong, no, God would never do that, you're wrong, you're evil, and God's going to kill you because you're a demon, and you gotta praise Jesus, right? That's what these people talk about. Let's get this. So if we happen to be part of the elect, here's what's going to happen, and we know you're not a part of the elect. All right. Well, what if we're a part of the elect? What if we're a part of God's children? You're not acting like a fucking faggoty ass queer that you are. No, you're not. All right. The Lord's not with that. Okay? The Lord is not with that, all right? We can go and get another scripture. Here's what the Lord thinks of you. Leviticus 20:13. If a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed abomination, they shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them. There's another scripture. The Lord hate abomination. The Lord hates abomination. This is Ecclesiastes 15:13. The Lord hateth all abomination, and they that fear Yahweh love it not. If you really fear the Lord and you love the Lord, all right, remember the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, all right? If you really have wisdom and you really love the Lord and you fear the Lord, you're not going to love this abomination that these people are doing, okay? And if you come around and you're calling us wrong, all right, then guess what? And we happen to be part of the elect, and Lord willing we are, oh my gosh, it's going to be bad. Matthew 18:6. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged around his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Let's get one more, and we're going to close out. This is Isaiah 5:20. Okay? There's another one. What's the other scripture? There's another one. Let me look for it. There's another one I want to get. I want to close out with two of them. Let's see. I can actually just find it quicker instead of my phone. I can just pull it up here. I'm gonna quick fire a couple of these actually, since I got them up. And you can go and look these up. I put them in here. I pasted them in here directly from KJV Online. All right, but I always implore, if you don't believe that this is what it said, go and type in James 4:6 or any of these other scriptures and double check, right? You should always do your work. Okay, but I'm a quick fire some off from here since we got them up. James 4:4, ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that friendship of the world is enmity with Yahweh? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of Yahweh. So you're over here trying to, I don't want to offend, these people, they're good people. You're trying to be a friend of the world, okay? And you have to separate, okay? That's what holy means. Holy means separate, okay? And there's another scripture that says, be ye holy for I am holy, okay? We're supposed to be trying to be more like the Lord, not people of this world. Let's see. There's another scripture. Romans 12:2 is great. That's not the one I'm looking for. I think it actually might be in wickedness. But Romans 12:2, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Renew, make new again. Like better, how it was before. Not, conform to this world. This world will have you doing all sorts of wicked shit. It says that you may, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Yahweh. Okay? So not conform to this world. This world will really have you think, even these Christians, they don't know nothing. They'll say, you're saying bad words while you read a scripture and then said a bad word. You're gonna be punished for that. No, it's corrupt communication. Well, corrupt communication is speaking of deceitful speaking, all right? Trying to get someone to believe something that's a lie. Or speaking vainly, vain speaking, or speaking deceitfully. It's not, you can't say the word shit. It doesn't say that anywhere. That's lean not unto your own understanding. That's a scripture. Do you know where that's at? All right. It's in the Bible. Right here. Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. It's in the Bible. That's where that's at. You don't know where any of these verses are coming from. Well, I've never heard of that. Well, guess what? You know where that comes from? The Bible. Comes from the Bible. I don't like the way that sounds. What book are you reading? Bible. Holy Bible, as a matter of fact. King James Version. You can look it up. And they look it up and they stand there with a stank-ass face like they just smelt a fart or something. Right? Let's get, Romans 8:5 is good. For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity. Sounds like enemy, right? And that's what that word means. It really goes back in the same meaning of enemy, if I could speak. All right, I got that unk stutter. Come over here now, right? Slakia, dove hour. Romans 8:7, because the carnal mind is enmity against Yahweh, for it is not subject to the law of Yahweh, neither indeed can be. So let's get to where I was actually looking for. It's right here. This is Proverbs 17:15. Okay. I got it copied up right here. Boom, bam. I don't know why I moved it. Could have done it. The same scripture anyway. Anyway, Proverbs 17:15. He that justifieth the wicked, and he that condemneth the just, even they both are abomination of the Lord. Remember what the Lord thinks about abomination? He hates abomination. So he that justifieth the wicked. Well, what he's doing, love is love. So it's so wicked because he loves someone. That's so wicked. It's so wicked that he likes to love someone and he wants to be who he really thinks he is. That's so wicked. That's so wicked. And they get all evil. Their fucking horns coming. You're evil. You're evil. And they fucking bug out right on the spot and start flipping around and flipping you off and doing all shit. They're wild, man. They're like a wild maniac on the loose. Animalistic. So Proverbs 17:15, he that justifieth the wicked and he that condemneth the just, even they both are abomination to the Lord. So even if no, you're wrong. These people are good people. No, you're abomination. Well, same as that person that you're trying to big up. Same that person you're trying to justify. You're wicked. You're an abomination. Both of you. All right, you're condemning the just, saying you're wicked for telling him that. You're wicked for telling him he's not a woman. You're wicked. Look at him. He's crying now. He's going to cry in the car because he... Fuck you, man. Fuck both of you. Get the fuck out of here. You and your pansy little faggoty-ass friend. We ain't with it. All right? So, you know what faggot originally meant? It meant heretic. Okay? It meant heretic. Okay? So, and that's how that word, and then it came to, you know what they would do with heretics? They would burn heretics. All right? Not originally just referring to homosexuals. That word didn't originally refer to homosexuals. Okay? It just talked about heretics, and heretics were burned. Okay? Heretics were burned. So if you were against, back then, the people that were burned, people in the Crusades, they were just, Christian Edomites anyway. But if you were against the church at the time, burned, all right, did something wickedly, burned, right, you would be burned. And then that term faggot was put on them because that, you know, the word sticks, a bundle of sticks that were burned. All right, and heretics would be burned. And then later on, it got put onto homosexuals for the fact, you know, being heretics. All right, being ungodly. All right, so heretic, or, you know, faggot is what they just started calling them that. All right, there was actually, you can go to the etymology online. You can actually prove this. Right here, faggot, especially used for the burning of heretics, emblematic of this in the 1500s. So the phrase fire and faggot was used to indicate punishment of a heretic. Heretics who recanted were required to wear an embroidered figure of a faggot on the sleeve as an emblem, as a reminder of what they deserved. So if they, recanted, what is recant? It's like the same thing as repent, recant.
Recant.
Okay, to renounce, all right, to disavow, to, you know, basically change your way. All right, you had to wear an embroidered figure of that faggot to show you what you really could have gotten, right? So they would have put them to the trial of fire and faggot. Okay, it came on later to be used for related entries. Yeah, another word that it was used for originally was women, okay? A bundle of sticks or baggage, all right? In the 1590s, it may be refers to the Yiddish fagele, all right? Homosexual, all right? Which it also went to that. But it also compared baggage, all right? A worthless woman. Worthless woman. So used for heretics, worthless woman, all right? And then male homosexual earlier around, it says probably from earlier contemptuous term from a woman. 1914. Now you all these gay. Now they were calling us that because they were burning us. They were calling that because they were rolling us up in carpets and burning us. Someone, really actually told me this. That's not what that fucking term ever came from. Okay, and male homosexual. It came from the term from woman, a contemptuous woman, a worthless woman, which went back to the word, which in that 1590s and even before that came from the word of a heretic, someone who was a heretic, ungodly. All right, and would probably start calling women that because they were acting ungodly. All right, and heretical. Okay, so, and then it got put on to men that were acting like women, all right? So faggot, that's where that word came about. So there you go. Now you know the origin of that word. But here's one more for you, Isaiah 5:20, and then we're going to go ahead and close out. Isaiah 5:20, it reads, "Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." Everything bad, you're calling good. Everything good, you're calling bad. Going doing these things. Oh, you're powerful. You're brave. That's not brave. That's not powerful. All right. Fight a lion. Oh, that'll be brave. That's powerful. All right. A little stupid too. But anybody going, so I'm a woman now. That's not brave. Anybody could do it. Anybody could say that. I could tell you I'm a woman right now. I'm not, but I could say it. Would that make me brave? I'm not. Anybody could say, I'm a woman. Woo, so brave, woohoo, woohoo, round of applause, he's so brave. Somebody give him a big brownie button. It says brave. Nobody cares, man. Nobody gives a shit. You're not brave because you did that, all right? No, it's brave because, you're in a society where they hate you and they could really, hurt you for saying that. Yeah, if I said I didn't like Edomites and I fucking hate white people and the first white person I see, I'm a punch in the face. That could get me into some harm. But me saying that, am I brave? No, that'd be foolish. That'd be stupid. All right, that wouldn't be circumspect going out and spouting that stuff. Now, when you're doing a lesson on the highways and byways and you're talking about we don't like Edomites, all right, that's a different story. But going around, I don't like white people. I don't like fuck you, white people, you white devil ass cracker like an ass honky cracker motherfucker. You fucking stupid bitch. Yeah, are you brave? No, you're stupid. All right. Like that song. If you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough. All right, because you're gonna get whacked out. But that's the lesson, man. It's not brave. It's not brave. All right, it's confusion. It's confusion, and you're confused, and you're around a community of people that are confused, and people are depressed, and they're looking for something because they're confused. They don't understand why they feel that way, and they go find this community that's confused, and they're confused. Maybe I'm a woman then. And now it's just a big confused bowl of soup, all right, that we call Babylon the Great, a.k.a. America. So that's going to be the lesson. I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, it was edifying. Again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakakwadash. I want to say shalom to you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring, keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Until next one, Lord willing, shalom.